This is going to be a game changer for knife sharpening. Is this possibly the best bang for your buck knife sharpener on the market right now? Bang! NEEVESKNIVES, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out the TSPROF KADET clone. So somebody cloned the TSPROF KADET. You can tell that they probably took some measurements from this guy, because I will say this, there's a lot of parts that fit this guy. And we're going to talk about that here as we go through the video. But this is under $100, under $100. This is hundreds of dollars. So huge difference on the price. Now, the TSPROFs are elite systems. They are very expensive, but they're really good quality. Now, and in fact, we're actually doing a TSPROF giveaway right now. Over $1,000 worth of sharpening supplies from TSPROF. We have a giveaway going on right now, at least at the time when I'm filming this. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. We're giving away their most elite sharpening system. But as far as this guy goes, for under $100, getting a lot for your money here, a lot for your money. And then when you consider that there's parts that you can put on this that come from TSPROF that will take it over the top. And in that case, it's probably the best bang for your buck sharpening system. And even though the TSPROF parts are expensive, it takes it over the top. So let's talk about that. First, let's go through just briefly the sharpening system and, you know, a little bit of the TSPROF, the real TSPROF, show some of the similarities. Now, I will say this is not as good as the TSPROF. TSPROF's parts are better. They're better materials. They're better fitment. Just everything is better, but you're still getting like 30%, 40% with this guy, if not a little bit more. Now, if you look here, you can see they both do the same type of angle change. So you just unlock that, move the gear right here, and then you lock it back in place. Very easy to change your angle. Same thing with this guy. You know, it's the exact same. I will say this one is better, right? The gear's better. You can feel it's more precision, it's smoother, and so on. Now, the clamp, the way you flip it is just like this. You pop that, roll that, and then slap it back. Again, that's exactly what this thing does, but I will say that this one is a bit stiffer. It's not as easy to undo, but it still works. It works fine, and you'll have no problem flipping your knife. Now, the rod, it does not come with, this is one of the parts I would recommend getting, is one of their rod stoppers. So let's go over some of the materials I would recommend getting for this. And we're going to talk about how these clamps work and why I recommend an upgrade. We're going to put the TSPROF to the side because the video is about this guy. So one, you're going to want to get the rod stoppers, and that's going to prevent you from taking the stone and letting it fall off the blade, because it doesn't come with it. So this thing is very floppy. It just kind of bangs around. So in order to stop that, and in order to take your rod and get it out of the way like this, where now it's propped up and it's not just fumbling around, knocking stuff over, that's a really good thing to have. I'm telling you, it makes sharpening a lot better when you can prop your rod. Now, another thing is you should probably get two of them, because you're going to want to put one here to stop it going this way when you're sharpening. I'll show you why here in 1 second. Let's talk about these clamps. So the clamps, you just unscrew it right here, move it back and forth, just like the TSPROF, right? This is 4mm right here. So you just grab an Allen right there, and you can adjust the tension on those so you can put, you know, your blade in there. But here's the thing, that's as close as those get. So there's a divider in the middle that prevents them from going together. Now, what you can do is you can take this off and put it on this side, and then they'll go right next to each other, which is good. That will work. However, when you go to flip the knife over to sharpen the other side, now they'll both be on this side, and the angle will be slightly different. It's not that big of a deal, but it does make a difference. But if you buy this guy from TSPROF, it fits perfectly on here. In fact, every part that I've tried from TSPROF fits on this system. That's why I know they definitely knocked off a lot of things, because the measurements are identical. There's one thing that doesn't fit, and that is these screws. So these screws are not the same as these screws. These are bigger. So you're gonna wanna make sure that if you get this clamp, make sure the screws come with it. This does fit just perfectly fine on here. It's just you gotta make sure it comes with its own screws. Now, I'm pretty sure it does, so I don't think that's gonna be a big deal. But, oh, one thing really quick. This thing has a hand protector. Isn't that cool? The reason why, when, you know, you're gonna want this clamp is because in order to sharpen knives like this size, smaller, and even sometimes a little bit bigger, because the clamps, look how far apart they are. Even if I take off the thumb studs and I clamp it over the thumb studs, you see how close the clamps are to the tip? Like, it makes it to where you have a chance it's not going to work. So if you have this guy, you can easily clamp pretty much any size knife, no problems. So I absolutely recommend just getting this. Yes, it's expensive. It's like 70 bucks, at least when I'm filming this. Prices are subject to change. Links are down in the description, but these guys will work for the time being, but I do recommend get this, get the 2 rod stoppers, and if you do that, you will upgrade this thing to the most elite sharpening system that you can buy for under $200. TSPROF now has these new clamps right here where there's toolless, so you can literally clamp your knives down without using any bits, no tools. That is awesome. These are badass. Now, they are gonna be expensive like most TSPROF stuff, but if you wanted to, you could add them to this. They will fit. Like most of the stuff from TSPROF, they will fit. We're gonna put, show you guys. So with a single clamp, you can see how I can easily just clamp. I'm gonna use some of their stones to show you what kind of edges, what kind of edge you will get with theirs. Their diamond plates suck. These are not good diamond plates. They are not even accurate to the grit that they say, but they will still work regardless. So I'm gonna hurry up, sharpen this up really quick, and then we'll change back to their clamps and sharpen up a mirror polished edge, and I'll show you the difference when you're using quality stones versus their stones. Let's see if this 2000, well, their 2000, it's not 2000, it's more like 1000 grit. Very, very sharp though, as you can see. Now, these are not going to be stones that last a very long time, but they will give you a very sharp edge. It's a great beginner set, and then when they start wearing out, you can always get new ones, but the edge looks really good. The finish came out really nice. It's just that they're not diamond plates that are gonna last, and they're not gonna cut very fast. So if you're sharpening, they'll cut fast when you first use them. But by the 3rd sharpening, they're not gonna be cutting as fast as they once were. I can already tell just from one sharpening that the diamonds are wearing off pretty quickly, but that's the way it works with very, very cheap stones. So I have this Glow Rhino knife right here. We're gonna just tune up really quick just so you guys can see how this thing works. I do recommend, if you don't want to scratch your finishes on your blades and stuff, get some Captain tape. This stuff is really, really good. It's very wear resistant, so if you hit it, it's not just gonna tear right through it. I mean, it will eventually, but you'll have, you know, you'll notice it at that point. So these are very easy to clamp as long as the blade is long enough and it's not too short for these 2 clamps, but you can tighten them up with, oh yeah, it does come with a little Allen you can use. I like to just use my drivers, but these are a little bit of an odd shape. 4mm is what I've been using. I think it was 4mm, but it seems like it's a little bit loose in there. This does fit a little bit better, but either way, the 4mm works. Nice and solid. This thing is very solid. I will give them credit for it not being as good a quality as the TSPROF. And the material's definitely not as good. It's still very solid. Now, You see how I got my rod stopper right there, right? It's protecting everything because I can prop this knife up. It did not come with this. So this thing would be just normally falling all over the place, right? But once you get this, now you can prevent the stone from falling off the edge of the knife, because like when you stop for a second, you know, that'll happen. If it's just sitting there, sometimes it'll just slide right off. I do recommend getting a second one of these, the rod stoppers from TSPROF, because what it'll do is when you're going this way, it'll stop you from sliding up the blade and scratching the finish, because it'll stop right there or wherever you want it. Now, one thing that's really cool about this, just like the Cadet, is it has a stone compensator. So right now I have a resin bonded diamond stone. It comes with just 3 diamond plates. This will get you by, but they suck. So just get new stones. You're gonna wanna eventually get new stones because these are gonna wear out very quick. The grit is not accurate. They have a 320, an 800, and a 2000. None of them are accurate. They're going to not cut very fast and they're gonna wear out very fast. So you're gonna wanna get new diamond plates. I recommend just getting some Atomas, Atoma 1x6s. You can get a 140, a 400, and a 600. You'll be good with that. And then you can get the 1200 if you want to. If you wanna go up to mirror polished edges, you know, you can get some different stones, but just to get you started. I will say this, if you're going to get this, you're gonna save a lot of money for this that you could put into bonded diamond stones. And then I would recommend going to my USA Market link down in the description, or the TSPROF link. TSPROF has these alpha stones, and then the USA Market has a bunch of different bonded diamond stones that I've been testing. So the clamp works just the same as the TSPROF Cadet. It's not as smooth as the Cadet one, but hey, you can clamp your stones and you can clamp any size. So if you have 4-inch stones, you can clamp them. If you got 6-inch stones like this, you can clamp them. That's cool. But this compensator right here makes it so if I switched from this stone to this stone, before I start, I would measure this stone right here, just the thickness right there. Like you can lift this up and down, measure the thickness, so that now if I change it to this stone, I can now take this stone and put it under there and change it. Now I don't need to find my angle again, because when you get your angle set, if you move anything, your angle's different. So this way you can easily adjust for changing of thicknesses with stones. Now the angle is, you know, obviously just like this, and you can pick your angle right here. It has some indicators right here. You know, it just kind of tells you like the kind of knife that is not completely accurate, but you know, it will work for you. But a digital angle finder will definitely be better for you to use on this. You're gonna wanna zero it out here, then set it here and get that measurement, then put the stone with the stone in the clamp on the edge, and then measure this angle and add them together. I know it's a little weird, but that's how you do it, and then you'll get the angle. But this guy, let's actually do a couple passes, because I want to talk about this thing right here, because this is something that TSPROF doesn't even have. And I've actually cut myself pretty severe because I didn't have one of these. And I'm surprised, maybe TSPROF does have these and I just don't know about it. But one time I was sharpening and I just finished my edge. I was literally just about to take it out of the clamp. And I just so happened to have, I slid forward and my thumb went wham right into the edge, cut me to the bone. But it was all because this thing, well, I obviously didn't have it because I don't know of TSPROF having these. So this is actually a really cool thing that TSPROF should adapt, because it'll stop you from hitting, you know, or from going past and hitting your knuckle on the knife or the edge. But this does work extremely well. The rod's nice and smooth, just like the TSPROF in that case, you know, because a lot of the parts, while they are good and they're tight and they're strong, they're not as smooth moving or anything like that. So that's why you can feel the precision of the TSPROF, but it's at least 30 to 40% of what you get from TSPROF. I mean, at least 30 to 40%. So that's actually pretty good for a fraction of the price. And some people might even disagree with me with that and say it's like 60, 70%. The base is not very heavy. However, it does come with bolts that you can screw it down to a base if you want to, because it is light. And if you put pressure down here, see how it'll move? So what I like to do is I just put my hand on it. Put your hand on the base, and then it's not going anywhere. Then you can put pressure. You don't want to put a lot of pressure anyways. Also, you want to make sure this thing is tight. Even with the TSPROF, if you put pressure here, you can pull that out. So make sure that that's nice and tight. Double check it every once in a while. I like to put my hand right back there. And yeah, man, this thing works extremely well considering the price difference, man. I just, you know, getting it, I honestly, when I seen it, I was like, it's too good to be true. Because this system, especially if you get this, it's an absolute, it changes everything with sharpening, because this would be, well, there's one other system that's coming out very soon that is under $200, but if you get this system, you would have basically the best sharpening system that you could buy for under 200 bucks. And the thing that would separate this from the other sharpener that's under $200 that's really, really good, that I'm doing a video on here pretty soon, the big difference is that you can use any stone with this. The other one, you have to use their stones, and that's from Wicked Edge. But Wicked Edge is great, and that's a great system too. I highly recommend it. It's awesome. Comes with basically everything you need for 200, for like 170 or something. It's their new budget system. You guys will see it very soon on the channel. But anyways, this guy for under $200, the one thing you're missing if you get this, and then, you know, the stone, or sorry, the rod stoppers, the only thing you're really missing at that point is the stones. So you can decide what type of stones and how much money you want to spend on stones. The stones are important, but you can just get some simple diamond plates from Gritomatic or Hapstone or Atoma, and it not cost too much money. It will, you know, obviously the stones do cost. They are one of the most important parts to the sharpening, and they are diamond. Do you need to get diamond? Depends on what you're sharpening. I always recommend diamonds because diamonds cut the fastest and they cut high carbide steels. So if you're sharpening very simple steels, then it might not matter as much. But I'll tell you what, man, diamond stones, and this is a bonded diamond, so it's different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a better version of these where it's just diamonds across the surface. You don't use any water with it. So you get to run them dry and then you just dust them off. That is kind of huge because the mess can be frustrating, especially if you're learning. But anyways, you see how easy this thing is to use. I mean, I could sharpen a knife up pretty quickly. Now, I'm obviously using my own sharpening stones, and I have already tested it with that other clamp, and it worked great. So, but I wanted to show you exactly what you're getting. The only difference is I got this thing on there and my own stone. But that, I think, is just a normal thing because most sharpening systems don't come with the best sharpening stones. Now, some do. Some come with good sharpening stones, but in many cases, people like to upgrade to, you know, something a little bit better, especially as time goes on. Look at that. It's already done on that side. Let me just make sure this side is good. I'm not even going to take this up to a very fine grip, but I could absolutely mirror polish this if I wanted to. And then right here, bam. And since this is the same, see, like I said, this thing kind of jams up just a little bit. It's not the smoothest. It's not as smooth as a TSPROF, but hey, it's good enough. I'll tell you that much. I absolutely, if I was on a budget and I didn't have all the sharpening systems I had and I needed a sharpening system, this is what I would get. I would get this. I would get that clamp. Well, there's a couple I'd choose from. There's like 2 or 3 different systems I would choose from. So, but this would definitely be on that list. I do think that this one would be probably the most affordable without the stones, you know. Once you add the stones with any system, you know, the price goes up dramatically. All right, I am just removing my burr on this beautiful mirror polished edge now. I did take it all the way through all the grits of the alpha stones, the resin bonded diamonds from TSPROF, all the way up to 9,000 grit. Then now, this does not come with a strop, so you're probably gonna wanna get a strop. We're not going to strop too much because we went to 9,000, so it's a very, very fine edge. Okay, let's take this out. And by the way, if your strop winds up being thicker or thinner, like I said, you got the stone compensator here that you can adjust. Okay, let's take this puppy out and let's give her a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's very, very sharp. DC 53 steel. I know it's similar to D2, but I have found that this stuff takes a better mirror polish, way better than D2. And it actually holds it quite a bit better than D2. But let's check this edge out really quick because this sucker is definitely, woo, sharp enough for that. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness. That is very, very, very sharp. Look at that. This thing's a oh my goodness, that edge is just ridiculously sharp. So all in all, to close this out, one, I do recommend getting the rod stoppers and the single clamp. You don't have to, but it will upgrade it massively. If you're just gonna get the base parts or the system without getting anything extras, you're probably gonna wanna still get stones eventually because these are not gonna last you very long. So make sure you just keep that in mind. And you're gonna wanna get a strop. But with just this alone, by itself, nothing else, it's still the best system I have found for under $100. Hands down, like no comparison. I've noticed that systems at this quality usually start around 200 and up. And even higher, 200 to 250, and you are getting quite a bit from this, considering the parts from TSPROF fit. Without that, I would say it's not as good, and in that case, I would say just get a TSPROF. But because the parts fit, I still would recommend just get a TSPROF if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, and you do really, really, truly need to save money, because let me be clear, this is not going to last you as long as a TSPROF. TSPROFs are worth the money. They are something that's going to last you pretty much a lifetime, especially if you get the K03. They're very expensive though. But just the parts, you can tell they're eventually going to wear out. They're eventually going to strip out, but you will be able to still use it for at least a few years, if not longer. I mean, you might be able to get 10 years out. I don't know. I don't know how long you get out of it, but considering you can upgrade to TSPROF parts, that will definitely make the life of it last a little bit longer. I haven't tried every part from TSPROF, but I've tried the parts that matter on this. And all in all, highly recommend it for anybody wanting a budget sharpening system. Yes, TSPROF, hands down, far, far superior. But, hey, man, when you're trying to save some money, this is a damn good way to do it. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time.